Hello there. Welcome to another OWL topic discussion video. Today, our topic is IZaYaKI the best flight support in the world? Now, I don't think most people would think of IZaYaKI when they see the question, who's the best flight support player in the world? And I think that's really interesting because I'm really not sure why that is. I think there's a couple of reasons that could be why that is, but really looking at it, in my opinion at least, IZaYaKI right now, I think should be considered the world's best flight support. And I know there's others out there, like Alarm, Violet, Jonek, even, still up there. Twilight hasn't really played this season, but just from his performance last season and the fact that he's been picked up by the Shock, I think you could probably make the argument that Twilight is still up there as one of the best. And then there's countless more. Like, I haven't even mentioned Kariv. Even though he's been on a pretty underperforming team, I think he's still definitely been a mainstay, one of the best flight supports that we have in the league. This position, this role, is definitely, I would argue, has the most talent on there. Like, you could say there's a lot of talent on the DPS role. You could say there's a lot of talent as far as main tanks go. But in my opinion, when you look at that flight support role, there's not as many star players on any other role as there are on the flex support role. The flex support role is really the one where there's a stupid amount of star players there. For my money, I would say the big three right now would be Violet, Alarm, and IZaYaKI. And I think IZaYaKI isn't one that a lot of people would put on there, which surprises me. To be fair, I can see people saying Violet with especially his recent performances on Baptiste. I can definitely see why you would put Violet up there. Alarm as well has been stupidly consistent for the Philadelphia Fusion. He's been holding that team together in fights. The clutch plays he comes out with, outrageously good flex support player. But if you're looking for what I tend to look for in a really good player, and you're looking for consistency, I don't think you can argue anyone else except IZaYaKI. Again, maybe Alarm. It's definitely close to me with IZaYaKI and Alarm, but IZaYaKI just has something to him. So when I look at IZaYaKI play, definitely what I'd say is probably his best hero and definitely the one he's looked best on most recently is Ana. If you go back and you watch his performance in the main melee, if you use the OWL viewer and look from his perspective, he is incredibly mechanically, he's gifted on that hero. He is absolutely gifted on Ana. He's single-handedly keeping enemy tracers out. And this isn't just a run-of-the-mill tracer player. This isn't like Zik coming in on tracer and trying to fight IZaYaKI and IZaYaKI shutting him down. No, this is the best of the best. This is Prophet. This is Saebyeolbe on tracer, and he is single-handedly shutting them down as Ana in team fights. That is impressive. That's very impressive. And then when you see how fast he's charging the nanos too, everyone's talking about how good Fearless was, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean to take away from Fearless. He had a monstrous performance on Winston. But really, a lot of it was to do with how IZaYaKI was somehow able to keep him alive in these aggressive dives in a meta where dives should generally, theoretically, be played quite defensively. But Fearless was going in, and IZaYaKI was always there, ready with a nano, or just ready to heal him up, and he's just constantly in the perfect positions, doing the right thing, always. And I didn't see one single time where IZaYaKI would let up in the main melee. Not a single time on Ana. And then before that, when Shanghai was playing dive as well, he played a lot of Zen previously. Before Ana sort of came into fruition a little bit with dive, they mostly played Zen with Echo and Winston, and it worked really well. Obviously, I think Ana works better, but either way, IZaYaKI was making it work. IZaYaKI was making it impossible for him to be dived. Do you know how insane that is for a Zen to be difficult to dive, especially at the top level? There were matches where I could see Gushwei, who is still probably considered one of the best Winston players in the world, if not the best Winston player in the world, was struggling to dive this guy because he would just discord him and then land infinite headshots one after another after another. You can't fight that as a Winston, especially with the discord buff now, but even back then, before the discord buff, IZaYaKI was making it work, and it's really a testament to how mechanically skilled this guy is. And then then you look at how consistent he is on top of that, and he doesn't even go for the flashy plays as well. He doesn't. He did last season a bit with Valiant. One of his, he was always mechanically skilled with Valiant, but one of his downfalls was that he would sort of waste his ultimates in turn for a flashy play of some kind. But he's not done it with the Dragons so far, and that could be down to coaching. That could be down to him as a player improving. That could be down to the team as a whole just doing well. So maybe when he does go for a flashy play, it doesn't look as bad. It could be down to any of that, but I personally think it's down to IZaYaKI, the guy himself, just improving as a player. And again, I think you could make the point, and I would make the point, that the main reason Shanghai's dive has looked so ridiculously good so far this season has been because of IZaYaKI on the Ana and on the Zen, continuously popping off and just doing everything perfectly right. I have not seen a single time, in the main melee at least, where IZaYaKI fucked up a fight really badly. There was not a single time where it happened. He was just so consistent, always doing what he needed to. It sort of reminded me of Mano in previous seasons on main tank. I would always argue that Mano was the best main tank because he would consistently do everything that he needed to do and more. He would rarely ever go for the flashy plays. He would just do what was needed of a main tank perfectly. And IZaYaKI is doing exactly that right now on Flex Support. Now again, I think you can completely argue that Alarm is doing similar stuff with Philadelphia Fusion. Violet is arguably better than IZaYaKI because IZaYaKI's really not played much of the Baptiste, and Violet has looked incredible on Baptiste. But again, I would sort of make the argument that in Alarm's case, yes, Alarm is an incredibly clutch player. He comes in with these massive plays. He isn't quite as consistent as IZaYaKI is. I've definitely seen it. It's few and far between, but I've definitely seen some times where Alarm, like this weekend against Houston, he definitely has some times where on Baptiste he might throw out a drone, might throw out a field, and it's too early in a fight, and it ends up with them losing the fight. It's rare. It's definitely few and far between that we see mistakes like this coming out from Alarm. But we do see them, and I can't say that I've seen IZaYaKI do a similar thing. Granted, he's, again, not played much of Baptiste, and it's a lot more difficult to mess up a fight as Ana and as Zenyatta than it is as Baptiste. But it's still impressive. It's still very impressive that this guy has never once, at least from what I can see, messed up a fight and lost it for his team. It's so impressive, especially at the top level when he's going continually up against teams like NYXL and like Seoul Dynasty and like Guangzhou even, are an incredibly good team. He's constantly facing these teams and he's constantly shutting down these top level players consistently. It's incredibly impressive. I know I've gone on about how consistently good he is, but it really is. It's so impressive how good he is, and I don't think he's getting recognized enough for it. I do want to say that he hasn't played much Moira as well. So the Moira and Baptiste, him not playing them that much does hold him back a little bit, considering how players like Alarm have played all of the flex support heroes and looked really good on all of them. So you could make that argument about Alarm being the best in the world because he's played all of the flex support heroes and he's looked really good at them as well. But I would still make the case that IZaYaKI, just on a level of consistency and how he's just never once messed up a fight or been caught out of position or just not been doing what he needs to be doing in a fight. And then on top of that, he goes above and beyond and shuts down these world-class players like Sabiolbi and like Prophet on Tracer. It's so impressive that I just don't feel right not being able to say that he is the best flex support in the world right now. So yeah, I think that answers the question. In my opinion, he definitely is the best flex support in the world. It is very, very close in my eyes between him and Alarm right now. And I barely even mentioned, again, Jonak is still up there. Jonak is still doing really good on flex support. Twilight's up there still, even though he's not played so much this season. He had such a good showing last season that I think he should still be in the conversation now. Violet as well, constantly popping off on the Baptiste. Even though Violet has been known to struggle on Ana a little bit, I still think it's worth keeping him up there just because of how good he is on that Baptiste. But yeah, for the most part, it's just that level of consistency that IZaYaKI brings to the Shanghai Dragons that just makes me really think he's the thing that's keeping them going. He really is the thing that is making their dive the best in the world right now. He is the crux of that team, in my opinion, which is huge considering we're talking about what is probably the best team in the world. Maybe Shock. But if you're building a team like Shanghai Dragons, you need consistently good players. And IZaYaKI is one of those players that has just been that good for them. He's been that shining spot of consistency for them that has never let up once. And I think people should really start recognizing how good this guy is. So yeah, in my opinion, IZaYaKI is the best flex sport in the world. It's definitely a highly contested spot. Alarm next week could pop off and change my mind, but for now, definitely IZaYaKI's the best. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for listening. There's more to come, by the way. I know this video was quite short, but there's definitely a lot more to come. I have a lot more topics that I want to talk about. VOD reviews, all that kind of thing. So if you want to subscribe and see that content, feel free. It's a little bit scuffed right now because I've never done this before, but it's only going to get better from here. So yeah, if you enjoyed, subscribe. Leave a like if you want to as well. Oh, also, if you really want to, you could leave a comment as a suggestion for another topic that I could cover. I'd love to do that. And yeah, other than that, follow me on Twitter for updates. Follow me on Twitch. I like to play games sometimes. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.